What up, y'all? Welcome to ReyMade. I'm Ray, and today I'm going to show you how to make this workbench for just about $40 with limited tools. As with most projects, you'll want to start at your local hardware store for supplies. I chose Home Depot. For lumber, you'll need 6 8-foot 2x4s and a sheet of 1/2 inch thick plywood. Here's the cut list I use for this project. Now you can make your own dimensions to fit your workspace, but this is what worked for me. Now this bench isn't the biggest, but it's durable and it will get the job done, especially if you're just doing small projects around the house. Now let's get started. Your first step, if you didn't get your wood cut at the hardware store, is to cut your 2x4s to length. Be sure to double check your measurements when you're measuring your wood. To be safe, I bought extra 2x4s, but if you're not about that life, then just make good and correct cuts. Also, I do not condone laying down while operating any type of power saw. This is why I am building this workbench. Now, I made all my 2x4 cuts with my miter saw because I didn't have a table at the time. But if you only had a circular saw, it would be just fine making your 2x4 cuts. While I was laying down making my cuts, I realized that my basement floor is not level whatsoever, and that's pretty annoying. Later in the video you can see my table wobble. What I'll have to do to fix that is shim one of the legs to where it doesn't wobble. Hopefully that's not the case for you guys. Alright, your next step would be to clear the area, pick up anything, sweep up, so you can make the base for your tabletop. And you could just lay out the pieces once you cleared everything up. Your tabletop base should look like a rectangle once you have it set up. And once you do have it set up, you want to pre-drill holes for your screws to fit in. These are called pilot holes, and what that does is just makes the screw go in a lot easier. I did 2 screws for every joint, and I just did my pilot holes and then my wood screws right after. Alright, your next step would be to attach the legs, and I did that on the long side of the base. And I only have video of me attaching this one leg because I got a phone call and I forgot to hit record after that. Alright, the next step would be to attach the stretchers, and what I did was I measured 6 inches down from the bottom of the legs, and that's where the bottom of the stretcher would be. And I just did the same thing, drilled 2 holes and 2 screws into each side. On the longer stretchers, I had to clamp it down to the leg because I didn't have anybody to hold it up. If you don't have anybody to help you, you can get a wood clamp, and they're pretty cheap, and it's always nice to have wood clamps. After your stretchers are attached, you can flip the table over and start attaching your tabletop. Now you want to make sure that your tabletop is flush with your base, and once you have your tabletop where you want it, you can start prick drilling holes and then screwing it in. Now my plywood was left over from a different project, but if you get your plywood at a hardware store, you can get it cut to length and you don't have to saw it off like I'm doing right now. Once you got your table set and screwed in, you can start sanding. This makes it flatter and it just makes it look better. As you can see, my table's wobbling right there. It's pretty annoying. Yeah, but you want to sand all the edges and the corners. Now you don't have to finish your workbench with anything, but I used Danish oil, and it just gives it a nice, clean, natural look. After you get your table sanded and got some finish on it, you're pretty much done. Overall, this project took about 2 hours, and I'm pretty satisfied with the result, other than the wobble, because my floor is not level. Other than that, I think it went pretty good. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, comment on what you want me to build next, and I'll see you next time here on ReyMade.